shocking history for sleep, why it was terrible to be a serf in medieval Europe, and more. You woke in a humble cottage in a corner of medieval Europe, sunlight barely piercing the thick, murky air. The chill crept into your bones, more biting than the usual morning cold. Creaking floorboards of the makeshift bed reminded you that comfort was a distant dream. With a dejected sigh, you rolled over, feeling the prick of a few too many fleas dancing on your skin. The pervasive smell of damp straw hung thickly, mingling with the lingering smoke of last night's fire. It was delightful, really, if you appreciated the fine subtleties of mold. Echoed from outside as you reluctantly sat up, shrugging off your blanket flecked with evening embers. Ah, the joys of waking up in a cozy, cramped hut. Once upright, you felt the customary tug of fatigue. Your eyelids drooped like the state of your surrounding walls. You needed to sweep the dirt floor. Again, soft thud of footsteps. A daily ritual, really, as if the dirt magically sprouted overnight. Grabbing a broom with strands of straw that seemed to cheerfully mock your efforts, you started the chore that would inevitably consume your morning. Sweeping is practically an art, you thought, as you swept the same patch for what felt like the 100th time. Swish of the broom. The dirt never seemed to vanish long enough for the floor to shine, but you were sure it put on a nice show of dust. Each stroke was familiar, tiring, but comfortingly predictable. Next up was stirring the pottage over the dying embers. You approached the pot, a lovely cauldron of gruel that smacked of nearly nothing. Bubbling sound, faint hiss. The heat was invigorating, if only for a moment, before it joined the damp chill clinging to you like old friends. Stir and stir, endlessly, while contemplating the finer points of flavorless fare. Not too much salt, you mused sarcastically, or else it will taste even less like anything worth remembering. And with that witty remark, you stirred away, practicing your culinary skills that had carved itself into the annals of your daily life. In the background, village sounds swirled, the clatter of farm tools, the distant chatter of other serfs, and the rhythmic sound of a hammer striking wood. This was living, after all, albeit in shades of gray. It felt as though the world outside your door had become a part of you. Dull, but oddly comforting. As the day wore on, and you continued to trudge through this relentless cycle, a sense of heaviness filled the air. Your eyelids began to grow heavy, weighted by a weariness that only the mundane could produce. But just as you settled into the thought of napping amidst the familiar chaos, a distant horn blared sharply. Something unusual stirred outside the village. Sudden silence. Would today be yet another ordinary day? Or did fate have other plans? Hey, before Morpheus fully embraces you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished, and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Take a moment to leave a like as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from, and what time is it? Your interaction keeps this calm corner alive. Thanks for being part of it. Sudden horn, hidden truths. You barely grasp the stillness that followed the horn's blare before the village erupted. A rush of footsteps. Footfalls thudded against the dirt, filled with a mixture of curiosity and dread. Your heart raced, instinctively pulling you to the door. Peeking outside, you were met with a surreal sight. Villagers, once caught in the tedious rhythm of life, now clustered in tight, murmuring huddles. Eyes darted like startled birds. Every glance, every hushed whisper warned that something sinister flicked through the air, heavier than the usual stench of sweat and straw. "What now?" you murmured sarcastically, stepping into the chill. The usual hum of life was replaced by a sudden tension. Then it happened. A figure emerged from the farthest edge of the village, a cloaked silhouette, ambiguous in purpose. Rustle of fabric. It raised a hand high, and the crowd, usually so disjointed, gathered closer, transfixed. An outsider, you thought, incredulity mingling with unease. Outsiders weren't common in this tiny corner of the world. They brought with them tales, changes, and sometimes danger. As the figure stepped forward, a glint of metal shone beneath the cloak. Was it a weapon? The sound of whispers grew. You could make out snippets: rebel, slaves, master's wrath. Eager to uncover what stirred the villagers from their daily stupor, you clawed your way closer. A knot of apprehension twisted in your stomach. This was not a time for courage. Your impulse was to retreat, yet something compelled you onward. People of Alderwood. The figure's voice, though muffled, carried a strange authority. It sent an electric shiver up your spine. "I come with a message from the north." A collective sigh washed over the crowd. A breath held too long finally released. The tension grated like nails on wood, raw and unsettling. What could they possibly want from us? You wondered, sweat pooling on your brow. "Your lords," the figure continued, "they have made a pact, one that enslaves not just your bodies, but your minds." Fear swept across the villagers, swirling confusion like autumn leaves caught in a gale. "This is the beginning, not the end. Your shackles are tightening." A murmur erupted. You caught words: magic, blood, the forgotten. The weight of the revelation felt suffocating. How deep did these despots' treachery run? Just as you began to process the implications, a deafening noise echoed, the clash of metal against metal. Hammering heartbeat. You turned to see the village blacksmith, jaw clenched, facing two armed guards emerging from the woods, faces obscured and expressions unyielding. "Run!" someone shouted. Panic surged through the crowd like wildfire. You hesitated, confusion gnawing at your gut. Were you supposed to flee or stay? Before you could decide, a shout pierced the chaos. "They know!" They know about the rebellion. The figure's gaze darted toward you, a glimmer of recognition sparking in their eyes. Clenching your fists, you stood frozen, caught between instinct and resolve. Suddenly, The figure lunged into the throng, their cloak billowing. A desperation for escape or retaliation? The guards were closing in, and just like that, the world you knew began to unravel. Would today propel you into chaos or salvation? Hey, before Morpheus fully claims you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished, and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Drop a like, as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from and what time is it? Your interaction keeps this corner of calm alive. Thanks for being part of it. A day that broke the norm. The world blurred as chaos erupted. You stood paralyzed, heart thudding louder than the rushing footsteps around you. The cloaked figure darted forward, weaving through panicked villagers. The guards closed in, weapons glinting ominously in the dim daylight. You pushed against the tide of humanity. Something hidden, something dangerous bubbled beneath the surface of your typically dreary existence. "What's happening?" you muttered, running to the edge of the crowd. The villagers seemed both mesmerized and frightened, and every instinct screamed at you to join the retreat. But curiosity tugged at you, heavy like the dread in the air. Suddenly, the cloaked figure turned, shouting out words that danced between believability and absurdity. "Listen, they seek the Heartstone." A collective gasp swept through the villagers, the kind of gasp reserved for terrible news, or even worse. "Heartstone?" you echoed in disbelief. Isn't that just a story to keep kids in line? But the figure's resolute gaze hardened the murmurs into uneasy silence. They lunged forward, swinging their cloak back with a flourish. What they revealed sent a chill gripping your spine, an orb pulsing faintly, glowing oddly like a distant star nestled in their palm. The realization crashed over the crowd, washing out the dim light of dreary reality. "Wait," you thought, brows knitting in confusion. "That thing is real?" As gasps of disbelief swirled, eyes flicked between the glowing orb and the armed guards who'd now fanned out. Searching the crowd, their presence felt more suffocating than the damp air. Do they think the Heartstone holds power? The murmurs erupted into a cacophony, blending confusion with a hint of hope. In this dull, drab life, could there be something that promised a brighter future? But the guards weren't listening. They were zeroing in on the figure like hawks spotting their prey. "Run!" someone yelled, alarming but oddly energizing. You stayed frozen, debating the unimpressive options between fleeing into the shadowed alleys of your village or confronting this unexpected force. Just then, the cloaked figure raised the Heartstone high, a beacon amidst the growing chaos. "People of Alderwood, this is your salvation! Take it!" they hollered, voice booming above the crowd's whispers. The guards were closing in, swords drawn, brows furrowed in grim determination. Take it where, you wondered, running thoughts racing faster than your feet. You teetered at the crossroads of fear and opportunity. Suddenly, a deafening clash shattered the rising chorus, the guards lunging forward, wrangling the figure away like a moth drawn to a flame. "Stop! It's not what you think," you heard. Desperation cracking in the figure's voice as the orb flickered ominously in their grasp. What lay hidden behind their desperate plea? In an instant, you knew you could stand by and watch, or you could leap into chaos. So, with a deep breath, adrenaline surging, you dashed forward, heart pounding, ready to snag the escape that trembled just out of reach. The world hung in anticipation. Hey, before Morpheus fully claims you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished, and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Drop a like as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from, and what time is it? Your interaction keeps this corner of calm alive. Thanks for being part of it. A day that changed everything. You dashed forward, heart racing fast enough to compete with a runaway horse. The scene unfolded like an old tapestry, chaotic threads tangling together, obscuring the dull patterns of daily life. The cloaked figure faltered, surrounded by guards with swords drawn. A bead of sweat trickled down your temple, mixing with the dust clinging to your skin. Voices were a low hum, swelling like the sea drawn to storm. Suddenly, amid the chaos, the figure turned, eyes glinting with unexpected urgency. "Take the Heartstone and flee," they shouted, voice cutting through the disarray. It wasn't an ordinary plea. It was desperate, electric. But what could you really do? You glanced toward the retreating villagers, their faces etched with confusion, terror pooling in their eyes like rainwater in a cracked stone. Then, in a flash, an unexpected shift jolted your senses. The ground trembled. A low primal growl from somewhere underground. The guards exchanged glances, unease flickering across their hardened faces. "Did you feel that?" you whispered, disbelief mixing with curiosity. The crowd hushed momentarily, all eyes darting toward the earth beneath them. "Don't be ridiculous," a villager murmured, but even they staggered back as another low tremor rolled through. A deep rumble echoed, followed by the sound of cracking wood, as if the very foundations of the village were starting to weep. But the real twist came when a deep chasm cracked open, right there in the heart of Alderwood. Sudden silence, buried deep in the earth, came screaming to the surface. From the gaping maw of fresh earth, an eerie glow pulsed, much like the Heartstone in the figure's grasp. This was no mere coincidence. It looked down, alive, pulsating with a heartbeat of its own, thick with menace. "What in all the kingdoms?" you gasped, eyes wide. The shimmering light danced, drawing both villagers and guards into a trance. The contradictions of your mundane life shattered in one horrifying sweep. "Don't gaze too long," another villager shouted, snapping you out of the spell. "It's calling!" Panic surged again. Some villagers stumbled backward. The guards cursed, scrambling to maintain control, weapons raised against an unseen foe. "Come with me," the cloaked figure yelled again, breaking through the confusion, hands still gripping the Heartstone. "We have to escape." Just then, the ground shuddered violently, a wave rushing through the dirt like a great beast stirring from slumber. But before you could make a move, shapes began to emerge from the chasm. Grotesque figures, shadowy and twisting. They whispered in tongues forgotten, echoing voices that clawed at your sanity. Low guttural tones mixed with panicked gasps. Instinct kicked in. You glanced back at the fleeing villagers, fear painted across their faces. Decisions twisted in your mind as chaos gripped the village anew. What felt like a mere rebellion now unfolded into something far darker, far more insidious. Then, out of the shadows, someone grabbed your arm. "We need to go." It was the figure, eyes wide, urgency palpable. "They are rising." Those words echoed like trumpets of doom, forcing you to choose between the known terrors of the mundane and the horrors that were clawing their way up from the depths. The world hung suspended, waiting for your answer. Hey, before Morpheus fully claims you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished, and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Drop a like as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from, and what time is it? Your interaction keeps this corner of calm alive. Thanks for being part of it. A shattered piece, you stood frozen, adrenaline coursing through your veins. The chaos swarmed like a cloud of angry hornets. Around you, the villagers peeled away, fear marking their faces as strange tremors shook the ground. "Go!" the cloaked figure shouted, urgency igniting their voice. But you hesitated. Could you really run? Leave everything behind? Just then, the earth roared again. The cracks widened, revealing flashes of that eerie light. Shapes reached skyward as shadows slithered from the depths, contorting and writhing. Something's wrong, very wrong, you thought, staring into the abyss. Then, without warning, a figure broke free from the chasm. A woman. Dark hair and wild eyes framed a face, twisted with sinister strength. She wore a tattered gown, threads hanging like lost hopes. "Release the Heartstone!" she screamed, voice echoing like a thunderclap. Your breath caught. Was she the source of the disturbance? Behind you, whispers erupted, each voice weaving a tapestry of panic. "Witch! Sorcery! What do we do?" The guards bristled, swords raised, faces etched with disbelief. But the cloaked figure, the one you had just come to find strange comfort in, stood firm, clutching the Heartstone. "Stay back!" they yelled, defying magic-infused chaos. Your heart raced. This was no ordinary conflict. The woman in the chasm didn't look menacing merely for show. There was a heavy energy about her, a past clinging like the damp of the village air. "What are you?" you whispered, caught between fear and fascination. She lifted her hand, fingers outstretched. "I am bound to the Heartstone, a guardian, a cursed one, for centuries, centuries." Her words rolled out with a chilling finality that sent shivers down your spine. And then, in a heartbeat, the ground shuddered violently. Villagers staggered. Some cried out. Others fell silent, their eyes wide with shock. You could only stand and watch as the bright Heartstone now illuminated the dark chasm, painting ghostly shadows upon the dirt around you. Why do you want it? The question slipped from your lips before you could anchor the nerves. It holds our legacy, our tether to this land, she whispered, despair dripping from every syllable. It was stolen. Stolen? You blinked, a million thoughts colliding in your mind. By whom? The cloaked figure stepped forward, defiance coursing through them. Do you mean your lords? It was taken generations ago to keep the commoners in their place. It feeds off negativity. The more unsatisfied hearts, the stronger its grip. Realization struck like a whip. Their bleak existence, the years of servitude, all carefully balanced on a knife edge. How had you never seen this before? Your power shapes ours, the woman shouted, voice brittle with urgency. Release the heartstone, and all will change. It's your choice. Jaws dropped, eyes darted. Panic oozed into the air like smoke, and then came the rumble again. But this time it felt different. A low growl, almost a warning. What's happening? You thought, dread pooling deep in your stomach. Above you, dark clouds rolled in, thunder clamoring, as shadows began to dance and flicker. Would the Heartstone really bring liberation, or was this merely another twist in a long, dark tale of suffering? The world hung in a precarious balance, waiting for your decision. Hey, before Morpheus fully claims you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished, and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Drop a like as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from, and what time is it? Your interaction keeps this corner of calm alive. Thanks for being part of it. A secret beneath the surface. The air crackled with tension, thick enough to choke on. Shadows quivered, the chasm below breathing as if alive, waiting for a decision to unravel. You dared to glance back at the villagers, faces twisted in fear, wide-eyed animals cornered by hunters. The woman in the tattered gown was right. The Heartstone was not just a tool of power. It had become a living heart, waiting to beat again. Release it, she screamed, some primal instinct urging you forward. But as you stood there, heart hammering, weighed down by indecision, a low grumble rumbled beneath your feet. Low growl. What now? You thought, searching the crowd for reassurance. There was none to be found. Then a hushed silence fell, like a heavy fog rolling in, swallowing every fear and every hope whole. The cloaked figure took a step forth. Listen, we can't waste time. But as their words lingered, strange roots began to writhe from the chasm. Vines thick with darkness snaked upward, lacing through the air, like fingers grasping for freedom. Rustling of leaves. Didn't they teach us to avoid dark corners? You thought. The crowd recoiled, a collective shudder, coursing through the villagers like a cold draft. Don't let it touch you, shouted someone from the back, voice frayed with panic. Yet another tremor rocked the ground, and from the depths emerged not just shadows, but whispers, words long buried, whispers echoing, betrayal, blood, chains. The grave weight of centuries of oppression loomed before you. What had been just a gloomy existence was now shifting, threatening to spill the secrets buried within. Then it happened. A glowing orb descended from the chasm's maw, spiraling like a star, crashing to the earth. It bathed everyone in an eerie light, illuminating anguished faces, frozen in fear. "Is that?" you stammered, drawing closer despite every instinct screaming to flee. A dark figure, emaciated, with hollow eyes, emerged from the shadows, wings unfurling like bat wings. It glided forward, smooth and fluid, ethereal yet terrifying. "Protect the Heartstone," the figure screeched, voice rasping like a rusty door opening. The guards tensed, swords trembling in their hands, as the entity loomed closer. The cloaked figure steadied their breath. "It's not just the Heartstone. They want us all." A terrible truth settled over you. Who were they? Just a band of guards, or something far more sinister? The entity stretched its hand toward the Heartstone, energy crackling in the air. "You'll all pay for your blindness," it hissed. Fear erupted. A ripple cascaded through the crowd. One villager shouted, "Run!" Yet as you turned to flee, the entity screeched, a horrendous sound that curdled blood. Shriek echoing. "Flee? Do you not see?" it cried, laughter mingling with agony. "The past binds us, and I am the keeper of your home." Just then, the ground beneath you trembled once more, cracks spreading like veins. Something dark surged from the fissure. There, in the chaos, you felt a chill creep up your spine. Would you stand and uncover this mystery, or be swallowed by the past that clawed its way to the surface? Hey, before Morpheus fully claims you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished, and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Drop a like as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from? And what time is it? Your interaction keeps this corner of calm alive. Thanks for being part of it. A secret revealed in the shadow. The world crackled underfoot, the ground heaving with anticipation. You gazed into the chasm, heart pounding. Shadows twisted and writhed as if rejoicing in the chaos. Low rumble. Behind you, villagers hesitated, fear etched on their faces. The cloaked figure clutched the Heartstone. "We have to act." But before you could process their words, a faint whisper snaked through the air, pulling at your gut. They have always controlled you. Eyes darted around, searching for the source. The woman from the shadows. She's the one casting this curse. A guardian, sure, but her intentions were murky, veiled in darkness. "You've been deceived," she shouted, voice urgent, yet soothing as a cool breeze. "This curse binds you, but it also holds the key to your freedom," she continued, the urgency intensifying. "Your lords have fed on your despair, thrived in the shadows of your labor, all to keep the Heartstone hidden. Hidden from you. You blinked, trying to wrap your mind around it. Hidden? So this life of servitude was just a grand illusion? A trap carefully laid? Then, heavy footsteps echoed in the now hushed crowd, breaking the tension. Guards, more of them spilling into the chaos, didn't seem aware of the unsettling murmurs. "What are they doing here?" you whispered to no one, caught off guard. Behind the cloaked figure, the hearthstone glowed brighter, reacting to the surge of tension. "If we don't unite, they'll extinguish our last hope." As murmurs began swirling, the weight of suspicion clanged like iron chains. What if they knew? What if everything was a setup? Above, dark clouds coiled ominously, cloaking light from the sun. The very air stilled, charged with the impending storm. "Keep it away!" someone shouted from the back of the crowd. An unsteady hand pointed toward the guards. Suddenly, amidst the growing fear, a glimmer of madness painted the scene. The lead guard raised his sword, its silver blade gleaming malevolently. "You think you can disrupt the order? You serve your masters, nothing more." But as he spoke, something astonishing happened. The ground pulsed again, sending shockwaves through your feet. A cascading light erupted from the chasm, illuminating the sky above. It was as though the ground screamed erupting truths. "They intend to unleash the truth long buried," whispered a shadowy figure. The villagers gasped, faces twitching, driven between hope and fear. Then, something shifted within the chasm. Shadows solidified, drifting upward, pooling together like a dark river. You barely had time to process when a figure emerged, a young child. Skin glowing with an ethereal light, eyes wide with innocence. "She's the one!" the woman cried. "The hearthstone needs her." You froze. A child? This was not how legends were told. What powers could even reside within such small hands? With every breath, uncertainty tightened in your chest. You could practically taste the iron tang of conflict on your tongue. How could this child unlock the legends long dampened by despair? The child turned toward you, gaze piercing through the din. "They have kept us blind," she murmured. In that moment, everything shattered. The illusion, the fear, all of it teetered on the brink. As guards tightened their grips on their blades, and the villagers braced for conflict, you faced a choice. The hearthstone pulsed before you, as haunting as it was inviting. Would you fight for a truth that could reshape everything? Or was it just another betrayal masked in light? Hey, before Morpheus fully claims you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished, and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Drop a like as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from, and what time is it? Your interaction keeps this corner of calm alive. Thanks for being part of it. A shadow unveiled. In the depths of the chaos, reality twisted like a fevered dream. You stood, heart racing as the ground trembled beneath you. The child's glow cast eerie shadows on the villagers' anxious faces. "Release the hearthstone!" the woman shouted again, urgency spilling from her lips. But as you stared into the chasm, something shifted. The air felt thick, the silence almost tangible. Every breath seemed to echo off the walls of the dread looming over you. Silence. 3 seconds. And then it happened. A low growl rumbled beneath your feet, unsettling everyone. Did anyone else hear that? Someone whispered, eyes darting nervously. You could feel the tension crackling in the air, mingling with the damp smell of the earth. Shadows swayed like dancers. Each flicker set your heart pounding faster. The cloaked figure grasped the hearthstone tightly, showcasing it like a forgotten trophy from a weary war. Suddenly, a scream pierced through the silence. One of the guards, initially defiant, dropped to his knees, clutching his head. "It's in my mind," he howled, his voice trembling with horror. The other guards reacted, confused glances exchanged as fear seeped in like a creeping fog. "What is happening?" You exchanged glances with the cloaked figure, sharing a moment of disbelief. Then a dark wave of energy surged from the chasm, wrapping around the villagers, pulling at their fears, gnawing, relentless. You could feel it scrape against your skin, a whisper of dread that clawed at your sanity. "Get away from the chasm!" Someone shouted. "Run!" Yet you remained rooted to the spot, breaths shallow and quick. The child seemed transfixed, glowing brighter, a beacon in the dark. As if the hearthstone and the child were tied by invisible strings, your world felt like it was spiraling into madness. Low rumble. "Listen," shouted the woman. "The hearthstone is the key to your freedom. It binds them, your lords." A collective gasp rose, echoing around the gathering. Despair painted faces in shades of gray. Eyes fell upon the guards, their stance shifting from resolute to uncertain. The shadows twisted again, revealing glimpses of figures rising from the chasm. Then you heard it, a faint, forlorn cry, unlike anything you had ever heard. From the depths, a shadowy silhouette emerged, distorted against the glow of the hearthstone. Was it the long-lost souls of the oppressed, or something more sinister? "Master of the chain, release the curse," it moaned, a voice threaded with pain. "I don't like this." You muttered, the lump in your throat growing. The weight of history hung heavy. And just like that, it snapped. A dark surge erupted from the ground, tangible and sharp, hurtling toward the cloaked figure. "Protect the hearthstone," they shouted. But it was too late. The shadowy form lunged, arms outstretched, eyes void of hope. You stumbled back, colliding with another villager. Both of you propelled into a world of chaos. But then a simple thought broke through. You felt something deep within you, a historical truth strangled by the weight of the world. Who were the true masters here? The ground shook again, thundering like the drums of war. Would you stand back and watch chaos consume everything you knew? Or would you step forward to unveil the truth hidden in the darkness? Hey, before Morpheus fully claims you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished, and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. drop a like as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from and what time is it? Your interaction keeps this corner of calm alive. Thanks for being part of it. A revealing truth in the chasm. The chaos swirled around you, a tangled mess of sound and fear. Shadows flickered like trapped moths, desperately seeking the light. You stood at the edge, heart pounding. The glowing child stood firm, eyes locked on the chasm. Every villager held their breath, waiting. Then, out of the shadows emerged a figure, a long-lost face, twisted with sorrow and determination. It was the village elder, a woman thought to have perished years ago. Her presence triggered a flood of memories. "Elder Maeve," someone gasped, disbelief lacing the air. "You're alive?" "Yes, and we have little time. The Heartstone is the key, but it has also been the prison of our darkest secrets," she proclaimed, voice soaring over the hushed murmurs. You exchanged bewildered glances with the cloaked figure. How could she know? Maeve stepped closer to the chasm, shadows dancing around her. "You think it's just a stone? It's a seal. It binds the darkness you fear, but it also holds the truth about our lords." A chill crept into the air, like a frosty wind sweeping through the village. Every villager leaned in, eyes wide. "Tell us," you urged, but the words tasted bittersweet on your tongue. The Heartstone was stolen to conceal a horrifying pact, Maeve continued, glancing toward the guards. The lords made a deal with entities far older than you can imagine. In exchange for bondage, they gained power, and in return, we've all served as the fuel for their existence. Fuel. The idea clawed at your insides. You scanned the villagers. How many years had you toiled in endless hardship to sustain those who ruled over you? The cloaked figure tightened their grip on the Heartstone, its glow flickering in response. "They won't let us break free that easily," they stated, resolve solid in their tone. "Don't you see?" Maeve yelled, urgency spilling like a last gasp. "This is what they want. They want us divided, fearful, quiet sheep. To keep sacrificing our potential." Your heart raced. Were the years of drudgery merely the spark for another's drive for power? The past you understood twisted into something darker. "What do we do?" you whispered, a tremor in your voice. Just at that moment, another quake rippled through the ground, the chasm threatening to split wide open. Dust billowed into the air. Shadows writhed and grew, as if the earth itself hungered for the truth that had long been buried. "Fight!" someone yelled, jarring you from your thoughts. But would you be fighting against a power too great to challenge, built upon the sacrifice of those who came before? The ground shuddered violently, shadows elongating grotesquely as if yearning toward the light. A high-pitched shriek sliced through the air. Guards cried out, some crumbling as fear enveloped them. Then the child turned, glowing brightly. "We can escape!" they exclaimed, as if revealing a hidden path. Could you really escape the web spun since time immemorial? You felt choice slip through your fingers like grains of sand. Flight or fight? Would you risk it all to unravel centuries of deceit? Or would you return to your corners, cowering beneath the doom you couldn't see? And as the earth rumbled once again, threatening to swallow the village whole, the walls of reality began to crack. Hey, before Morpheus fully claims you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished, and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Drop a like as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from, and what time is it? Your interaction keeps this corner of calm alive. Thanks for being part of it. With the gathering storm rumbling above, you stood at the brink of fate, heart thrumming like a drum in the chaos. Shadows danced around you, writhing with secrets that threatened to spill into the air. Elder Maeve, her fragile presence radiant with determination, faced the chasm, eyes aflame with a sense of urgency that seemed to cut through the disarray. "Focus," she shouted, bringing the villagers back from the edge of despair. "You must realize the strength hidden within the bonds that tie us." More than ever, the truth felt palpable, swirling among them like the smoke from a dying fire. You surveyed the faces of your fellow villagers, some drawn tight with fear, others lighting with that flicker of hope. This could mean the end of your silenced servitude. The cloaked figure, still gripping the heartstone tightly, stepped forward with conviction. "We unite against the darkness." Then in a flicker of motion, the child lifted her small hand, a glow radiating warmth, as if the very essence of life itself breathed in that moment. "Together," she cried, innocence soaring above the chaos. At that instant, something unexpected happened. The light pulsed, joining forces with the heartstone. Everything froze. Time hit the pause button. Breaths hung in the air, and all that could be heard was the faint thrum of possibility. The darkness receded, shadows trembling, drawn back by the resonance of hope. But as the ground began to stabilize, the lead guard could see their grip slipping. "You fools!" he shouted, panic edging his voice. In an instant, he lunged, sword raised high. Just as quickly, Maeve called out, "The Heartstone will protect us!" And there it glowed brighter, an ethereal shield forcing back the swirling chaos. His sword clanged against nothingness. The guards, unsettled and confused, stumbled back as confusion rippled through their ranks. "What? We are the ones in charge!" One of them shouted, as though screaming it could conjure the authority that had slipped through their fingers. But it was too late. A collective surge of will ignited among the villagers. "What have we to fear?" someone shouted, and a wave of agreement echoed back. In that powerful moment, you felt the weight of centuries lift from your shoulders. Small hands tightening into fists, a spark ignited within you all. "Together we rise," shouted Maeve, the chant rolling like thunder through the crowd. With fierce determination ablaze in your chest, you found your feet moving. Surging forward, you joined the throng as they advanced against the guards, The chasm, illuminated by the haunting glow of the hearthstone, pulsed as if awakening to the call of the rightful inhabitants of Alderwood. The darkness began to recede, not just from the chasm, but within your very hearts. With each step, a knot unraveled, the specter of oppression beginning to dissolve, like smoke whisked away by a gentle breeze. And as the guards fell back, the figures from the depths transformed into light. With every flicker, shadows morphed into memories, stories submerged in the drudgery of life, resuscitated, whispered back into existence. Relief washed over you like the first sunlight after a storm. Congratulations filled the air as faces turned brighter, a community reborn from despair. But in the quiet aftermath, as murmurs of hope floated among the villagers, a lingering question twisted in your thoughts. Would this newfound freedom withstand the winds of time? Or would shadows once more creep in? And as stories were shared, and laughter rose up to meet the darkening sky, a faint whisper echoed from the chasm's depths, hinting at truths yet to be unearthed. You must subscribe immediately to ensure you don't miss the next exclusive stories that unfold from shadows just like this one. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep us alive. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this wild ending. And for the love of all that's mysterious, share this video right away with 5 friends who need to hear this conclusion. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait another second. True fans understand the importance of these actions, and we need your loyalty now.